Page one. Hey, I can't see your mic.
Hello there.
Hello. How are you?
Oh, hello, Mustafa. How are you, my friend?
I am doing great. Thank you. Thanks for joining.
But yeah, we had an agreement. I have a compromise. Sorry for being a couple of minutes late. Typical Spanish. But yeah, let's do this.
No worries. I think we are all good. And thanks for joining again. It's pleasure to have you around and pleasure to have people with same experiences.
Joining. So thank you all that are on the other side, and thank you, Mustafa, for having me. It's always a pleasure to talk to you about any topic.
Yeah, and thank you so much for raising up this topic, which is very near to my heart. And I dissect it. We both will learn from it. Especially, I will learn more. We'll trying to find out what drawbacks are there, what other components we can add, and all those kind of stuff. So, Ahmed, we can see you are here. We can't see your picture somehow.
Hey,
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 Anna, how are you?
all good.
okay, awesome. Thanks, Ahmed, for joining. I know you have other commitments as well. But let's quickly jump onto it. John also have some other issues, so we'll quickly jump onto it and start discussing. So, as Ahmed, you are here, we are happy to have your inputs as well because this is the new approach. Not, I won't say it's a new approach. I would say it's something which has been there, but due to infrastructure and all those challenges, we never used to do it. It just clearing the surface and bringing upfront. That's what I try to do it. I wrote a white paper on it. Ahmed, you have gone through. John has gone through multiple times actually. Let's jump onto it. So thanks again, guys, for joining. Our today's topic is PVP. So PVP is something very new, uh, which we call it productionizable viable product. What it is, uh, although I try to elaborate it as much as possible, but I'm sure half an hour to 1 hour is not good enough to justify everything. But we will try our best to go through it, see what challenges and how it can happen. Okay, so I go to next sheet. So normally, so I really want John your I would say because you have gone through it, right? Okay, let me go back. First, let's start from you. When you see this approach, what came into your mind and how you look into it?
Yeah, I was gonna start exactly on that because the thing is as follows. Here our friend Mustafa is super active and innovative, and he knows very well who to touch to improve any topic that he puts his hand on, right? So this topic to me it was super interesting because the thing is that apart from technology, the it's not only a challenge of finding what to do or what should be best, but how to land it into a reality in any company or any need that anyone can have is also key. And in here is when you start to learn a lot of or to hear a lot of buzzwords. Not only that, but also how people approaches those problems. And is where basically Mustafa, Ahmed as well, and myself find ourselves every single day. And that lands on proof of concepts, MVPs, scalability, cultural change, and the change management related to that is something that is like the elephant on the room. And in here, the thing is that when Mustafa proposed an innovative way to look at it, which is this PVP, it calls my attention because in the approach you touch methodology to tackle the how to start and implement an initiative. You tackle on Capex, you tackle on infrastructure, you tackle on several topics, the hows, the whys, and the whats, to basically land initiative that is related to data and analytics. And that's something very specific, but in any company that calls itself as data driven or innovative or technology driven, is super important, right? And the percentage of failure set by anyone and suffered by a lot of us is huge, right? Like the number of POCs that you launch and that arrives or ends up in something that is tangible and appropriate is not that much if you are honest to yourself, right? So when you, Mustafa, came with this new approach, I found it super interesting because it tackling in a lot of pain points, and if properly implemented, is super useful. But we raised a lot of issues, right? Like not issues, but concerns. Like, yeah, if you do this, how can it impact in
Correct.
infrastructure if you do that, right? So that conversation was super enrichful for myself.
Correct. Actually, you are absolutely right. See, that is where, as I mentioned, it's not something which I've innovated. It's not something which I invented. It's something which I try to bring up, try to bring attention to actually, because we are all being doing that. And whenever any critical project comes, whenever there is a time crunch, we end up doing it. I've done that in one of the financial sector where we had no choice to use only production environment for UAT purpose. And we went up and put up such kind of access matrix and mayas here and there. So we could do it. If we can do it in financial sector, I think we can do it in other sectors as well. See,
Yep.
right. So I think let's jump into it, right. Right. See, just for the audience purpose as well. So nothing new here is right. We have implementation approaches, we have implementation methodologies. So when we talk about implementation, you know, methodologies, we have waterfall and we have agile. We all know that. And there's a separate discussion whether agile is good for data or not. Because people have conflicting opinions for that. And I'm one of those that I'm not a big fan of agile in data project, data solutions. I'm fine with it when we implement applications, blah, blah, blah. But that's not the discussion right now. The discussion is whether PVP stands together with waterfall or agile. No, waterfall or agile approach stays there. Where PVP comes, it comes towards approaches. Where we have big bang approach, we have pilot approach, we have POC approach. So we all know that big bang approach is something where we go end to end, complete solution. POC is something where we have this POC and pilot where we have smaller conceptual models, and then we have MVP. MVP again is something we go for a smaller one, but we end up using all kind of environments. So the similarity between all these approaches are all have development, all have UATs slash testing environment, and all have production environments, right? So there are a few experiences I can't go in detail, but what happened we conduct, especially in this data analytics era, in AI era, where a lot of new technologies are keep spinning up, coming up, surfacing every 3 to 6 months, right? So we all, as an organization, we are tempted to go towards and start testing those things, but we are stuck with the same traditional approaches where we will normally go for development, UAT, and production. And as these technologies are not very mature, not a lot of people knows how to size the environment, which kind of services you want, and this and that. So when they start small, they miss a lot of things. When they miss a lot of things, and when they test in a smaller one, and we all know, right, smaller size will always be successful, right? Once you upsize, that is where challenges start coming. So I've seen multiple places when this AI and data analytics services like Gen AI and all those kind of new upcoming technologies come into picture. Vendors come, uh, principal comes, they implement POC, it works. The moment we go into production, the cost multiply by 100, sometimes thousands. So this really creates a question mark whether we are going into this data analytics and AI approaches. Will this be worth going into it? Because cost is one factor, time is another big factor, right? In this current era, the reason we are going towards MVP is we can save time, we can save money. But the question mark comes, if we are saving time, are we going to productionize it or not, right? So that is where this whole piece came into my mind, right? Why not create something, start something in production itself? Yes, there will be challenges, but we know technologies are matured enough or they are maturing enough, and we all are in data, right? If you talk about 5 years back, right, we were not sure, rather, a lot of people were not sure what to implement, right? But now, I think as far as manpower is concerned, as far as people's or companies' maturity, which is not there yet 100%, but people know data now. People know how to implement data solutions, right? So that is where I come to picture. Why not? Why not we set right parameters into production, starting from end to end, starting from, for example, okay, so before we go into further details, anything from you, John, because I can go hours and hours.
No, but you were getting to the exact point of the approach, which is basically the key here is what's the added value of doing this or in applying the way of applying only a single environment. The fact of going specific for data project. Eh, Technology has to be a lever and technology has to be the driver or to accompany you or give you the opportunity to implement things, not to be along with the process, the problem or the stone in the path, not to do it. And this approach, what exactly does is, in my opinion, and that's the beauty of it, that it gives you the possibility to accommodate to process in a manner that it doesn't limit that the fact of having big teams with very standardized and with a lot of procedures can eventually lead you to a moment or to a path in which a good idea is basically narrowed or it cannot be done basically because the process doesn't allow you to, because you have too many procedures, because you have the standards that and doesn't allow you to work in this or that area, or because basically increase or raises your capex in a manner that kills projects that eventually can be successful because in a very early stage cannot be accepted by the investment of the business, right? So I think that you are getting to that point, but
Yes,
is
yes.
is essential to understand that for find the meaning of this approach.
Yeah, so see, the whole idea was this also popped into my mind, right? That technology is an enabler, should not be a blocker.
Correct.
The more we go into multiple environments, multiple technologies, it should help us rather than we start thinking, hey, we need to do data governance, we need to do CI/CD, we need to do, data integration in 3 places, we have to do data masking in 2 places, and the third place we have to demask it or anonymize it. Then we have to develop pipelines in 3 places. We have to change the configuration when we move from development to UAT to production. X, Y, Z, so many things, right? So I thought, because see, when we go into AI world, right? When we were in traditional ETL world, right? What was happening? We had one standard pipeline. We had a tool which can do everything, right? We have an integration and a tool, and it process end to end, and then we have a BI tool. But when we come into unstructured world, it's not one tool actually. For every kind of service, every kind of data, you end up having multiple things. Right? You have OCR, you have scans, you have to do OCR. You have video, you have a separate cognitive service for video, you have a separate cognitive service for audio. So people can say, hey, one audio cognitive service can do everything. Actually, no. There will be multiple best practices or multiple tools which can do video to audio in a different manner. You want to do real-time streaming conversion, you want to do batch. So different, one kind of conversion can happen by multiple tools. Then you have this Gen AI, right? Everybody is coming up with LLM, right? And Langchain is there, Mosaic AI is there. McKinsey has come up with Mecha architecture. I don't know whether you've heard about it or not.
No, not actually.
So
I
I
don't want to hear anything about McKinsey. No, I didn't say that.
actually, that gave me a thought. I'm also working on into another architecture where I'm creating my own architecture because it's open source world, right? So based on my experience, I'm coming with an architecture where semi-structured, structured, unstructured all talk to each other. I haven't seen it across, but I'm working on it. Maybe I'll disturb you in few months on that one as well. So see, that is where we are going, right? When you end of the day, coming back one step back is that technology should be enabler. Technology should help you, not to stop you, not to raise a question mark. So that is where this idea comes to my mind, and I went into it. So going to a next step, right? What are the takeaways for it, right? Everything has to have a takeaway. So there are many takeaways, but high level takeaways are it reduced time to market. Means right now, bare minimum, you have any project you target 3 to 6 months. So below 3 months is always a question marks. But you say if you want to go to production is at least a 12 weeks project, right? So going into productionizable PVP, it may end up reducing it because traditionally you need to have three environment, right? And three environment, you need to do a lot of things. We will go into details. A lot of things you have to do, right? But when you have one environment, you have some different kind of challenges. Actually, I won't call it challenges because all those which you must do in PvP, actually you should also do in other three environments as well. But as we have three environments and we are so lazy, we don't end up following all those things, but we still must do it. Well, another thought is why people was not doing it, right? Because unstructured world and AI world were very unmature. Actually, Ahmed has launched one course. So, Ahmed, I've gone through half of it. So, that is on Gen AI regulatory and other compliance requirements. So, now the world and regulatory bodies are coming towards and they are tightening up all those environment, all those rules and regulations. The moment they really tighten it up, right? Then whatever you were getting away not to do in development, you have to do it. Now, whatever you were able to do it in 3 months now, that will end up going to 6 months to 9 months, right? When all these regulatory bodies will really come after you. So that is where this PVP comes into picture that if you have one environment, you will really can go into production really fast, better than others. Now, what is the second takeaway? Yeah, John, you want to say something?
Yeah, exactly that. You recall we discussed a lot in these 2 points because this is what matters. At the end, landing it, you can have basically two scenarios. One scenario in which you work in a single project and you want to do it quickly, and one scenario in which you have like a funneling of several initiatives, and despite of the priority, you need to make them happen, right? And in that is when you come with reduce as much as possible the time to market and reduce as much as possible the capex, because at the end you're going to have a steep committee to whom you have to give the results, and you're going to have decision gates in the path. And from a perspective of implementing either in your own business or in a third party business any solution, these two inputs are of capital importance, right? And at the end is what is going to drive your possibilities to become a product a reality, right? So the approach focused very thoroughly in these two aspects, and with the purpose of having a solution to it, right? So
Yeah.
the way it is approached helps to reduce time to market. The way it's approached helps you to reduce the global capex. Why? Because it's gonna give you a very quick insight whether if it is something that is gonna be successful or not, right? Without having to suffer all the path. Meaning that whether you like it or not, it's like this is not gonna work. But at the same time, you have not spent that much capex to arrive to the same result, and you can derive your investment to a different initiative. And in here, with the quick and the rapid changes that we are suffering with technology, is of capital importance, in my opinion.
Yeah. See, this is perfect, right? This is what, so again, along with time to market capex, as you correctly mentioned, initial investment is super important, right? People normally thinks that capex is something you are only doing in development, but that's not true actually. You invest little bit in development. The moment you go into UAT and the moment you go into production, If
The scalability.
multiplying, then you're done actually. And then the moment your confidence level goes down, 9 out of next 10 projects will already crash, right? Right. So business will not trust you, right? That's what happening many places I have seen. So these are the high level takeaway for PVP. Now we go to the next one where we are saying what actually this PVP is. So this okay, ChatGPT 4 has created a very funky diagram for me.
Okay, kudos to this one. It's quite nice, huh?
Yeah, it's good, right? I'm learning it how it can reduce its coolness because we all also need those Arvind kind of diagrams as well, right? So this actually is a good representation, right? That one environment contains a lot of components. It's not just one environment. The solution can sit in one environment, but it is a replica of three environments, right? Three environments, everybody, everywhere you have to do data analysis, data processing, data analytics, data ingestion, data processing, data encryption, regulatory, all those things you have to do it. So in PVP, we are proposing that have one environment. So these are the things you can see here, right? This is again a very high level, but this is what we all normally do. It all starts with data governance. You have to have end-to-end data governance in place. So again, as I was just saying, right, people do get away from data governance in this current era because for AI and unstructured world, regulatories and policies were not there, but very quickly governments are coming. I think European, this region they already implemented, right? And Ahmed can share some light onto it as well, that how regulatory bodies are coming to catch organizations who are not following data governance in dev and UAT. So data governance is a place you need to have in dev, UAT, in production, all three places, right? Then next biggest thing is data integration. That is also a big key, because we all face challenges. Normally, source systems, which are mostly OLTP system, right? That is where the challenge comes. You have an OLAP system. You have to integrate into three environments, which is dev, UAT, and source. So only integration is not a problem, actually. Integration and interoperability become problem. Reason being, you connect to a source system dev environment. So your journey does not start from here. Your journey starts when source system replicate their production data in their development environment with proper anonymization, with proper data interoperability. Means one code from across source system should be same. So all those preparation in three environments. First, that is the your prerequisite actually, and that is where most of the project fail. Right better than me, right? In AI projects, you end up getting those kind of data. You process it, it works fine. The moment you go to production, all crash. Your success rate really goes down. Yeah.
Do you know that data readiness at the end, that's what we're discussing here, is capital in any approach, basically, right? But the thing is that along with the data readiness, that can kill a project because what you predicted to be done in 3 weeks, at the end it ends up being in 3 months. That kills projects. But if on top of that you add all the three environments, plus all the technology deployed in the environments, plus all the tools, regulatory bodies, metadata, you start to accumulate or to try to tackle a lot of things, not to accumulate technical depth, that can be an issue. So you get lost in the whole process. The way of trying not to get lost is to enlighten in somehow a part of the process, right? So learn to live with not that data readiness, learn to live with not those three environments that for technical people, it will blow the image. How cannot we have development? How cannot we have not? Well,
Yeah.
that's the whole approach of it, right?
Yeah,
So
so vendors actually play on it, right? We all know how vendor works, right? This is their key get away from it, right? They know, okay, they won't tell you actually. When they are implementing, they won't tell you. The moment they go into a UAT, that is where they tell you, hey, your data was not correct. And whatever data you gave us in the development, so it's garbage in, garbage out. So we have created scenarios based on the data profiling and development. If your development is not correct, we can't guarantee your production. So all this Capex, again, coming back to the Capex, right? That Capex is lost actually, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So integration, actually, Ahmed would be master on it because he's written a book on integration itself. So he
Yeah.
knows how this. If Ahmed, are you there? Can I involve you if you are available? If he's available.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So sorry to drag you in, but you are our guru on data integration. Can we throw a question towards you?
Please go ahead.
Data integration in 3 environments versus in 1 environment. Will doing data integration in 1 environment benefit for newly data analytics and AI world, considering we have proper anonymization, proper access, all those are in place? Will this help?
Yes. Let me come back to a couple of points from the previous discussion. I really connected to listen, but as you involved me, I'll take a couple of points to react on what you shared previously. Very quickly on the regulatory part, and it is an important one to keep in mind. Be it related to the GDPR or personal data protection, but also to some AI upcoming regulations. There are regulations that prevent you from having production personal data in lower environment, because lower environment meaning non-production environment, because those lower environments does not provide the same level of security and compliance as the production environment, and hence you cannot do that. So you mentioned that the data is anonymized, and we went back now to the discussion of data integration on multiple environments. I think it depends a lot on the criticality of the data flows that you are testing and putting in production. And it depends as well on your internal processes, because sometimes it's not a choice, it's just some process that is there that you need to follow and apply. If we take, I do believe from my perspective that 2 environments is a minimum. Like you cannot do without 2 environments. You need a production and a non-production environment. You can call that non-production environment a development environment, a UAT environment, an integration environment, whatever it is. I do believe that 2 is a minimum. Now, 3 environments, I think that in 2024 might be a little bit of an overkill. If we are working on on-premise environments, meaning that you have your bare metal or your own virtual machines, having 3 environments might still be a thing that you might want to implement. Why? Because you are not just validating, integrating tool A with tool B or system A with system B. You are also testing network flows. You are also testing infrastructure. You are also testing specific char sets. So you have a lot of things to validate when you are working on premise environment. If you are working on the cloud, I think 2 environments are sufficient, but I think you cannot do with just 1 environment.
Question.
Today,
Sorry.
yes.
Question. See, when you say 2 environment, are you saying that when something went to production, then bare minimum you have 2 environments? So if any bugs come, any new development come, you need to use development, right? I think that's what you're referring, right? So let's add something here. So what I'm referring here with PVP is to start new data analytics projects. I'm saying don't do dev UAT or dev production to start with. The moment you are success, yes, you have to go back to the standard one. But to start with, we are proposing first new technology, new data analytics, right? Only use production. That's what I'm saying.
Yes, I understand. Yes, I understand. I mean, I do understand that approach. I think that production is 2 things. It's an environment, but also a concept. If you are working on an environment that is technically a production environment, but conceptually it's not yet live, it's not yet production per se, for me, it is not a production environment. So you can do whatever you want. You can still do whatever you want. But from the moment you start having it live, you need to operate it. And you need to govern it as a production environment, meaning that Before something goes live, you need to have a test. Before something is, you need to have a peer review on the code that is there. You need to test the controls around data access, around data controls, and around certain number of things related to the data governance part. So all of that being put together makes me say that it is key that you keep in mind that when you are in a greenfield situation meaning that it is something that is totally new, you don't have anything yet in your environment, you can indeed start maybe by an environment that will make later a production environment. That is not an issue. However, you might also note that you are gaining some time upfront, but you are losing that time when you are rebuilding and retrofitting some non-production environment to replicate what you have built in the prod in that non-production environment that you'll start using going forward. So one in the other, I think at the end of the day, and net, you are going a little bit fast at the first steps, but net, it's the same result at the end of the day.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, see, that's the whole idea, Ahmad, is that, right, that when you start a new journey for a new project, not an enhancement. Yes, for enhancement, you definitely need a development. The idea was when you are putting up your Capex to start with, then we are saying that, okay, only start. Yes, you are absolutely right. Production and go live, two different things. Sitting in production environment till it goes live is not practically production. It is still in production network zone, but it's not go live. I think, John, you want to say something?
Yeah, I think that the key of PvP is that is a way to apply the way of the notion of build fast but fail faster, meaning that whenever you get to a point in which you have proven that what you need to do is something that you want to do is something that you're going to do, you come to the point that Ahmed is saying, meaning, yes, you have proven that it works, but the money that you have invested to prove that, if you do it in a PvP way, is much less to arrive to the same conclusion. And in the net that you're mentioning, yes, you have the risk of PvP is to accumulate a lot of technical debt, and you're gonna have to solve it later, meaning that at the end of the day you will reach to the same point. But in those cases that you prove quickly that is not something that you want to do, is when you obtain the big winnings, right? Because you haven't invested that much in proof that it's something that you wanna cover or that you wanna do. So
Yeah.
I think that's an important difference too, because what Ahmed said is totally right.
Yeah, he's right, actually. Thanks for raising for that, and thanks for clearing that confusion that we are not saying that you do not never need development environment. You definitely need it. The idea is when you're implementing something first time, that is where this PvP come into picture. The moment you
Yeah,
productionize something, then you go back to the same circle.
totally. There
Yeah.
is a question in the chat, by the way,
Yeah.
Mustafa. I believe it's for Ahmed because it was raised when he was talking. Correct me if I'm wrong. It says, shouldn't you read from production and write to dev?
Okay, shouldn't you read? Actually, the answer is okay. This question is from you, is it, Ahmed? No, right?
No. I think it was asked when I was sharing a couple of points. If I try to maybe rephrase the point and answer to it, I would say that indeed, if you started with an environment that is not yet productized, that is not yet live, and then you decided to make that environment the production environment, then you are indeed building afterwards a dev environment because you need a second environment. And yes, in that case, you are replicating your production to dev. Now, there are a couple of caveats to that also to keep in mind. Production environment generally have different constraints in terms of availability. So typically in a production environment, you might want to put high availability. In that case, you might want to build some failover or active environments in which what is facing your data integration part is not just one virtual machine or not just an instance. If we speak in cloud language, we can say that you might even be building some what we call auto-scaling groups. Auto-scaling groups are a feature where depending on the number of queries you are getting, or depending on the workload, the number of instances that are treating your workload might increase dynamically or decrease dynamically depending on what you are getting. These kind of features are expensive, and typically it's not something that you will have in your development environment. So yes, technically you are writing back from production to dev and doing that replication once you are live, but it is also important to note that those environments does not respond to the same requirements in terms of availability and in terms of security, and you might sometime need to rebuild part of the infrastructure in the development and then maybe replicate the data. So I will separate a little bit on that step, the part related to the technical and infrastructure, and the part that is related to the data and application.
Yeah, thanks, Ahmad. Right. So let me also actually let's jump to the next one, right? Where we talk about thanks, Ahmed, first of all, for sharing lights on this integration part for these three environments. So I think we are all on the same page. So next piece is metadata, right? Again, metadata is something which is key. Right? Well, if you ask me, right, for me, next era is metadata for sure. Given Daniel will be our next millennial, actually.
Yes.
Right? Because data is something is becoming so huge, so huge. I personally feel it will become so expensive to process the data. We have to go towards relying on metadata. Now metadata can be many things. It can be technical metadata, it can be business metadata, it can be auto-generated metadata, it can be summarization metadata. So that is where we are saying metadata, we have cataloging, we have so many things, right? We have to replicate all these three things, these metadata categories in all three environments, right? I'm going fast, John. Yeah. So now, okay, another one, data quality. See, this is we have been just discussing, right? Data quality is key. All AI projects is nowadays, I think, is very, very, delightful to see people focusing on data quality nowadays, because AI is, yeah, last time it was junk in, junk out, but now it's less junk in, then multiply by 1,000 junk ins, junk outs. It become like this if it is AI, right? And AI, you're expecting you will be doing decisions on AI, auto decisions. So if data quality is not there, you are done, right? Uh, and then access is killing everyone, actually. As Ahmad was just mentioning, right, this access, I think we have seen so much of examples that million dollars of penalties are being imposed on organizations. Just, hey, I have an example from TCS. They have been charged 1 billion rupees, Indian rupees something. What their developer did is, this poor guy, he was there was no, I would say, negative thought from him. What he just did it, he took a piece of code, just emailed himself in US, actually, just for the sake of he can go and work. There was no nothing that he wanted to do something. You heard about that TCS thing, is it? So
No,
he,
but most likely is related to DLP. So at the end, the data loss prevention in the companies is something that is critical as
yeah.
of today. Yeah.
Yeah, so access was not that strict. This poor guy downloaded only 15, 20 rows, actually. And he went back and fixed it. They caught it. So it was billion ringgit, billion rupees penalty, or $1 billion penalty, something very huge. So this access is again something, if you are in production, you are safe, actually.
Yeah, tackling into the three things that you had just mentioned, metadata is going to be the scaffolding basically of any initiative related to new technologies, AI, and so on and so forth. Data quality is something that for the data owners itself, it has the democratization of AI that is provoking in the general public is making them to be in the process since the beginning and in the middle of it for the data quality, meaning that they know if they don't take care properly of data catalog, glossaries, and so on and so forth, they will not be able to get the most out of the solutions. And the access is something that we haven't tackled so far for the PPP approach, but one thing that I always had for all the initiatives is to try to involve cybersecurity teams. The sooner the better, now that I'm leading those teams as well, it's something that
Yeah,
I tried.
I know what shoes you are filling in, right? And especially in the world of unstructured. Excel
Listen,
is hell.
when I was in the other side, I tried to avoid them because they are gonna basically slow me down. But today is something that is imposed. I mean, you cannot skip any part of the process without having the green light from cybersecurity. Otherwise, it's a no-go. That's it. But you have to give them as well the means.
I think you can be my first customer where I say, hey, cybersecurity, we will save your, effort 63%, right? So you
No,
have
no, but
for new thingy.
it's totally that. I mean, the first gate the first door you have to knock is cybersecurity. Then you can continue.
Okay, so before rather we go further, I think this topic needs more sessions, which we will do. You guys have really motivated me. I will end up creating more things on it. So last two, there are many other things, but we are just going through high level, right?
Juan Mustafa, can I add 30 seconds or you should
More
move
than well,
to the next?
more than welcome, more than welcome.
Yeah.
So I want to share a personal experience that I moved from the position of the guy who knocks on the door of cybersecurity to get a go for a project to being the guy to whom people knock to get the go for the project, and it's
Me
an
as well.
interesting thing. So being from both sides of the table, it's interesting. I think one quick point to one quick takeaway is that it is important to take the time to discuss the points from cybersecurity perspective, because at the end of the day, the cybersecurity guy is looking at protecting the company assets just like you. And you are just looking at the topic from different angles. So it's important that you take time, explain exactly what is there, and try to get a convinced go from cybersecurity. If you get it for your PVP or your MVP or your POC or pilot, depending on the pattern that you are following, it will be much easier that you go with it in production at a later point of time. If you don't do the job initially at the right way, you might be getting some conditional go or non-convinced call, and at the end of the day, it will take you a lot of time to convince the cybersecurity committee or professional. A very quick comment on data quality. When doing a PVP, pilot, MVP, or whatever pre kind of project, ensure you have 100% data quality clean. If not, the business should do the job to make the data clean before you start. If you don't do that, the project will only create frustration. The number of projects that I have seen failed that have been extremely sound from technical perspective, but just the day of the demo, the data being showed is not at the right level. It's just insane. You can see how the stock price of Google dropped the day they have demoed their AI, and it gave bad data quality kind of response. You can see how that, and it is not accuracy at that point. It was related to the data quality of the training data set. And you can see the market stock price of Google falling just because of that demo. And going back to listening mode.
No, just a quickie one, Mustafa. Related to cybersecurity, just a few weeks back, due to all the vulnerabilities accumulated by an application that we have on production, it was audited. We don't know why, but it was out of the scope of cybersecurity. When they realized, they took it and they said, "We're shutting it down. Sorry, but we're shutting it down," and it's shut down as of today.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah, that's the point of not including them since the beginning, and then in a later stage you can. This is an extreme example, but it happens, and if you are
Yeah.
responsible enough.
See, that's the beauty of PvP as well. So I'm bragging myself, but yeah. So once you are only in production, start with production, you will start accurate. You won't let thing goes. But when you are starting from development, you let a lot of thing goes. And when you are moving from development to UAT to production, you say, okay, let's compromise, and you let go things in production because business is already happy. They are pushing it, let it go, and you end up letting go, and these kind of issues comes. But if you start from production, cyber security will make sure, John will make sure that everything is up to date. Now, when you take from production replica into dev, you are super safe, right? So you go from top to bottom. So quickly closing it up towards these last two things, cloud services. I wanted to go dashboard, but dashboard we put it last. Cloud services. Again, cloud services will really help you out. It's not like on-prem that the challenge was in on-premise, you have to procure something. Procurement takes 8 to 10 weeks to come in, maybe sometime more than that. So you say, okay, if we complete our UAT, then next servers are coming in 2 months. Let's bring everything together. Cloud is not like that. This is due to cloud. We have mature processes. On the fingertips, you can provision something. So PVP is also good that you go into production, and the moment you're successful, it's super fast to spin up your development environment and UAT very fast. So again, PVP wins. Now, last but
Yes, but
Hmm.
careful with FinOps. I mean,
Yeah.
well, it has the good and the bad.
Yeah.
It helps you identify quickly where you can find surprises, and it prevents you from surprises as well. Because one of the things that we are all struggling, that all that we develop on cloud, woo, if you don't are very thorough on not only on the planning but also on the auditing afterwards, you can
Yeah.
find ugly surprises.
See, that was my whole idea was the moment you start from production, you will have complete check and balances. You can't let go anything. As Ahmed mentioned, yes, you need to have a HA. You need to have active, passive. You need to have DF. Everything has to be in place, which
Mm.
supposed to be there, but never being there. Okay. Yeah. Last but not the least, dashboards and reports. We all know that every organization has thousands, not hundreds, thousands of dashboards sitting there because you give access people to in development. And trust me, if you go and start counting your development dashboard versus production, development will be 5-10 times more as compared to production, right? So it has to be other way around. If you are in production, everything will have a check and balances, and you should actually there should be a housekeeping, right? That every 6 months or 3 months, production dashboard should replace development, start from scratch again. So all these things really make. So I'll quickly wind it up because I know John need to leave, but MVP is something is really near to my heart, and I want to do more sessions onto it. I want to create more diagrams if time permits me. White paper is already there, John, you know that. And I think today's talk was good on PVP. Uh, and let's do this some other day as well, where I can have more diagrams and you have more time. Any closing comments, John?
In a nutshell, let's say that this approach in a managerial vision is super useful. I mean, for people that has to do decision making, that has the technical knowledge to put any project from a point A to a point B, being a point A an aspiration and a point B a reality, is super useful to meet with their responsible aspirations and goals, right? So that would be my vision of the approach and the beauty of it because it helps lots. So mostly for those people that has to do the decision making and to deliver. That is not always very agreeable, but it is very challenging. Very challenging.
Yeah. I think I first do this patent in your country, right?
You are more than welcome.
Okay, thank you so much again. Pleasure talking to you, John, as always. And thanks, Ahmed, for your participation as well. And
Thank you.
Thank
yeah,
you, Mustafa, for having me, and thank you. I believe Anna stayed all the sessions, so thank you very much also to her, and thank you, Ahmed, for your
yeah.
inputs.
So closing comments, guys, we still need to set a time for our panel discussion. It's already been month. We need to set it and find a time. I will message into the group. Thank you
Yeah,
so
totally.
much. Pleasure meeting to you.
Thank you very much, Mustafa.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Cheers. Bye, Ahmed.
Bye.
Sure. Bye, Juan. Bye, Mustafa.
Bye.